Hey all, Spectre here, and today I am presenting you with a overview of the Milsig M79 HPA Nerf Dart Blaster. In this video, I will go over the background of Milsig, construction of the blaster itself, the function and the capabilities of this blaster, accuracy and velocity, my modifications, my personal modifications to the blaster that I have in my hand, the positives, the negatives, and my final review and thoughts. Let's start from the beginning. Milsig is primarily an airsoft and paintball company. They have existed years before this, outside of Nerf. They make Milsim style airsoft and paintball markers and rifles, and specialise in Milsim style gear. The M79 is their first foray into HPA Nerf and Nerf in general, foam dart blasting. And what this blaster is a repurposed paintball core, known as the heat core, repurposed to fire Nerf darts, Nerf half darts out of Talon magazine. Now onto the construction of the blaster. So the upper receiver and barrels are made of aluminium. The rear section here is a hybrid combination. This section here is actually the core and it moves into here. This is the regulator, it's made out of aluminium. This bit down here is your trigger group. It is made out of some sort of nylon. And this is your mag well, which is actually separate from your trigger group. And it is also made out of injection molded plastic, likely nylon. It's also worth mentioning that this connection point here is your ASA, your stock connection, your second stage regulator all in one. This knob down here is your adjustment dial for your second stage regulator. Moving on to function and capabilities of this blaster. I have to hold it right-handed for this because it works best for me to actually show you right-handed. I'm left-handed. So back to front. This is your tank stock. This is the magic core. So inside, this is your HPA tank. It screws onto your second stage regulator. The magic core is Milsig's own M79 HPA tank of choice. They utilize a different stock to this, and it outputs 800 psi into your second stage regulator. Your second stage regulator then adjusts this pressure from this little dial here, so it is best to adjust this while the pressure is off. You can turn the pressure on by sliding the collar. Now the pressure in the blaster is on. From there, pressure enters up into the core. It pressurizes the core, ready to go. This blaster is entirely mechanical. You change the mode of operation by toggling this little switch down here. You switch it between off, semi-automatic, and fully automatic. So let's just get it on semi-automatic just so that you can see it function. I'm going to pull the trigger. Very snappy, very quick, very hard to actually visually demonstrate, but you can see from that just how the blaster functions. Pull the trigger, it fires. This is open bolt operation, so even while the core is pressurized, you will find you can put your finger in the breech. Don't do that while pulling the trigger. However, if there is something in the breech when you pull the trigger and it jams, let's just put a dart in the wrong way for a moment. So I don't have my fingers in the breech, but the dart is in the breech. This is jammed now. You can clear the jam by pulling this slide back. It will engage the bolt, and you can pull it back to clear the jam. It will automatically return. From there, you can see your magazines come in here, and then, darts fire out the barrel as per any other Nerf blaster. Milsig's barrels are threaded M18 by 1.5, and they are as simple as push it in and screw it on. Like so. That's really all there is to it. You can unscrew it at any time and take it out in the instance of a particularly bad jam, leaving the barrel nut completely exposed, chamber completely open. So that's really all there is to talk about as far as the function and capabilities of the blaster goes. Let's move on to performance. Two major factors, accuracy and velocity. So Milsig's M79 has a rated range of velocity from 150 FPS to 300 FPS. However, in my experience, it goes as low as 200 FPS and as high as 438. Well, that's my maximum chronograph reading, 438 FPS. This was with a variety of barrels, using both of their tight and loose barrels. However, from my experience, the tight barrels are not consistent in the sense that they jam just about every second dart. The loose barrels, on the other hand, they fire very consistently, but their velocity is nowhere near consistent. Here's a demonstration of just how inconsistent it is. Chrony testing. 208, 254, 267, 275, 232, 223, 271, 255, 159, 285, 224, 229, 280, 321, 232, 237, 232, 196, empty. Let's talk about my modifications and additions to this blaster. So here's your base blaster. You get, tank, stock, blaster, handguard, barrel. My modifications and additions, obviously straight off the bat, it's a beautiful red candy and Cryptek Hydro Dip camo, courtesy of Unique Skin Coatings here in Brisbane and Brendale. They're an excellent company. I recommend them 100% for all of your custom needs if you're in Australia. On top of that, we have the 551 holographic sight on a TrueGlow 1/2 inch Picatinny riser. This is so that I can see more clearly down to the sight when using my paintball mask. And of course an angled foregrip, because angled foregrips are the best thing since sliced bread for blasters like this. But the most important modification I have done to this blaster, and this is what makes this the Milsig as great as I could possibly get it, is I have made a barrel adapter to take my standard hybrid barrels and my scars. So in testing, we had the stock barrel, which we did all right with. We did, some shooting and some testing, and it was accurate enough. I'll include some comparative demonstrations of their firing after this section. This is the stock barrel at 30 centimeters, and it has a built-in scar of 6 string at 6th pern with a spacing of 75 millimeters. It is pretty good. 40 feet stock barrel, let's go. The accuracy is acceptable. Milsig's testing has demonstrated it can hit a target, a human-sized target, 6 out of 6 times at 30 meters. However, I have tighter standards than that. So I set out to make the Milsig M79 more accurate than that, and settled upon making a brass adapter to convert the M79's M18 by 1.5 barrel nut into my 5/8 UNF barrel thread, and threw on my own hybrid barrel and my own Delrin scar. It fits in very much the same way that all of other Milsig's other barrels go. Let's go do some firing testing and find out the difference. 40 feet, hybrid barrel, let's go. As you can see, there is a marked difference in improvement in the hybrid barrel over the M79's stock barrel and scar configuration. Spectre hybrid barrel. Same pressure, different mag, same darts. 336, 315, 308, 245, 301, 299. Complete misfeed. 251, 229, 332, 292, 294, 328, 328, oh, error 3, 318, 303, and 255, and 273, error 3, empty. It is worth noting that I actually did cut down one of Milsig's barrels. I ordered 2 of these barrels, and I ordered a second 30cm barrel, which I then proceeded to cut off the scar on, so that I could make my own M79 specific scar in order to improve the accuracy. So theoretically you could actually run a double scar configuration because these barrels come with an M18 thread. I turned this thread. You could actually thread the scar onto the end of these barrels to make a double scar configuration to try and improve your accuracy further. I haven't done any testing of that, and it's not really something that interests me. I think one scar should be enough to make the blaster accurate. So, with all that said and done, let's talk about the positives and negatives of this blaster. First up, the biggest positive, this is an incredibly sturdy platform. Like, let's just stop that wiggling for a second, shake this up. There is no rattle at all, there's no give in this blaster. It's an incredibly sturdy platform, and I'm really, really happy to wield it. It's so solid, it's so comfortable, it handles well, it handles very Milsim, which isn't always a bad thing. But, however, that is also a negative, and I'll cover that more in a second. There is minimal assembly required with this entire blaster. Everything assembles and disassembles really easily. 4 screws on the handguard, and the entire thing comes off. 1 barrel screws in and out at will, and, you know, your bottle stock screws on and off whenever you want it to. So, it's really simple to modify in the sense that you can accessorize and take off whatever you want. You can run CO2, remote line, or bottle on for the blaster. It's incredibly modular in that sense. There's no expected failure points all along the blaster. It's really well designed, it's well assembled. There's no weak points that I can feel anywhere along the blaster, and in my war use, it feels great to operate, you know, and barring a few bad darts, you're not going to have many issues with it. It cycles reliably, consistently. Your velocity needs a bit of work in the consistency department, but it does cycle and fire consistently. On top of that, the select fire is a very welcome bonus. While I personally have no use for full auto, I'm sure some people would love to go ham with it. It's probably better with those that have higher capacity bottles than you bottle on. It's great and solid and comfortable to operate, and I'm looking forward to getting more war use out of it. However, negatives, and these are all points of contention, and people can feel free to debate me on them, but the stock accuracy with the Milsig barrels leaves a lot to be desired. Using a scar configuration, their onboard scar configuration, their testing demonstrates it can hit the human-sized target, but I don't believe that that's an acceptable standard. I believe that we should be aiming for tighter groups. I believe that we should be striving to get the best out of the blaster. My personal gripe is a personal gripe, you know, people can disagree with it. Reliance on an 800 PSI regulator for this core design. I don't really think moving forwards in this hobby, 800 PSI is a necessity. I believe, given that we've spent the last 3 years relying on SLP regulators and then, you know, sub 100 PSI second stage regulators, I believe that we could make a design on creating a 100 to 150 PSI firing core that would improve the air efficiency of the blaster remarkably, and it would improve the ability to use SLP bottles, which is a big draw for those people in the hobby that have already spent a lot of money getting SLP tanks to use on this blaster. This blaster comes in at a $399 USD price tag. It's a good, you know, it's a good investment for that price point. But given what else you have to spend in order to get it up to a, you know, what I call a competitive standard, I think that we can do better for that price tag. The real steel thing is going to be the big point of contention for a lot of people, and it's going to be one of the things that make or break the blaster for those people that actually want to get something HPA. A lot of people are going to see this blaster and they're going to turn away from it simply because it is Milsim. Milsim is a very divisive topic in this hobby. Some people like it, some people don't. My personal opinion is if you're going to be going for a Milsim route, then it needs to be a private-only war. These blasters are classified under the same classification as gel ball blasters in Queensland, and so I need to import them with the same permits required. And in other states in Australia, they're classified as replica firearms, which basically renders them illegal, which means that you will not be able to get them off me if you're in a state that renders replica firearms illegal. As for the cycle and fire and the function of it. No complaints to be had about the actual raw function of the blaster. I love it. I'm very satisfied with it. I want to keep working with it and get, more tags, better tags, really improve my nerfing game and my competitive game with a blaster like this. I believe this is an excellent opening point for the hobby, for the HPA hobby. I believe this blaster has plenty of potential behind it, but there are some tweaks that we as hobbyists and as Milsig as a company can work on to actually make this blaster the best it can be. Milsig's got a lot of plans, from what I understand, moving forwards, and I look forward to helping be part of it by giving them feedback, giving them reviews, and hopefully improving their blasters so that you guys get the best out of Milsig as well as me in the process. So if you have any other comments, questions, or other feedback, feel free to, drop some comments in the description. Hit me up on Facebook if you want to talk about the Milsig. I'll be doing an expression of interest for production sometime in June/July 2021, and I look forward to getting some more Milsigs into people's hands, getting some more battle data, and looking forward to seeing what footage people get of this blaster on the field. My final words on this blaster are, this is a great starting point for HPA out of the box. Out of the box, this blaster functions, fires, and does everything you would expect of a blaster, and we as modders, seek to improve that. But Milsig could listen to us, Milsig could improve upon it and give us more, and sure, they might want to charge us more in the process for it, but I'm sure that if they were to do that, they would get their investment back tenfold by showing that they care about us and listen to us in the process. I love this blaster. I'm going to continue using it, and I look forward to getting, the best gameplay I can. So to finish off, I'm gonna clip together some of my highlights from the last gel ball war I had, or last bush nerf I had, to demonstrate that this blaster is excellent and show some of the highlights of the hits that I got with this blaster. That's all from me. Thank you for watching this very long-winded and slightly rambling review. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Yep. Yep, she's thinking about it. Where is he? Where is he? Yep. I can see. Yep, Chris hit. Yeah, no. Double tapping, double tapping. Oh, yep. Nope. Can't grab it from this side. Oh! I'm trying to get this one. Matt hit. Julian up front, behind the green tops. Yep, Julian retreating.